Today we're joined by none other than primetime Elix Skipper.
Yeah!
Thanks for being here today with us.
You got it.
My first question would be how you got started in the wrestling business.
Oh, actually, I've always wanted to do it. I just made that call to WCW, the power plant. They called me. They called me back. Actually, we set up an appointment. And once we set up the appointment, then they switched the dates. And once they switched the dates, and I had to drive down to Georgia to go to the school. Then they told me no, I came 2 weeks early, so I had to drive all the way back to New York, then drive back down, and then we set up my date. And I went through the training camp for the 3 days of hell.
So you're from the New York area originally?
Yes, Long Island, New York.
So you're a big wrestling fan growing up?
Yes. Father, grandfather, all of us. We always watch wrestling. Back then, wrestling used to come on like Thanksgiving. It came on the holidays. But now it come on, whatever. But back then, it came on during the holidays.
What did you watch, WWF or NWA? Or?
I watch any type of wrestling I can watch. Any type.
Cool. So at what age did you decide this is what I want to do? I want to get into the wrestling business?
Actually, I always wanted to do it, but I didn't really get serious about it until I was like 21, 22. But when I was 17, that's when I started seriously weightlifting. And when I turned 19, that's when I started taking martial arts. I studied kickboxing and Muay Thai. I figured if I was well-rounded in some other things, I'd be a really good wrestler.
You have a big background in martial arts, from what I understand.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that coming up. And in high school and college, you played football, right?
No.
No, okay.
No.
No football background at all?
None whatsoever.
Okay. What was the party scene like at the CFL?
The party scene.
Did you go to parties or anything like that?
Nope.
No. Okay.
No CFL. That was all the work with the gimmick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
We made them all believe it, too.
That's good. So as far as experiences in wrestling and the power plant, you called up them and you basically were told to come down there and try out?
Yes.
Okay. What was that like to try out?
Oh, the tryout was like, we do tryouts now. We've done it with TNA, and we've also, at the end of WCW, we did tryouts, but it was nothing like when I went through the tryout and other people before me. That tryout wasn't about if you were going to make it, because it was all hard, because they physically and mentally broke you down after the first day. So it wasn't designed so you could make it. It was designed so you could fail, but they just wanted to see how much heart you had, if you could really stick it out, because the way they looked at it was, if you was a champion and you had to do a match and you was hurt, would you do the match, or would you say, no, I'm hurt, I really can't wrestle tonight? So that's kind of how they looked at it. And then it got to the point where they said, most people wanted to get into wrestling for the money, but they didn't have the love of it. So they made you, really want wrestling. So that's how it was when I went through it.
Take us through like a typical day, like when you first got down there. What exactly did they make you do?
The first day we got down there, they said you can stretch if you want. It's not optional, but we suggest you stretch. And that was weird. It's like, all right, well, yeah, I'm going to stretch. We heard it was rough, so we some of us stretched, some didn't.
Did you know anybody in the class at this time?
Nobody.
Okay.
I didn't know not a soul. All I know, it started off with 28 people. By the second day, it was maybe 14 people. And by the time we graduated, it was only me and Rick Cornell, who's known as Reno. We were the only two that made it. But our typical day, we started off stretching. We got there like 8:30. We started exactly 9 o'clock. We wasn't allowed to touch the ring. We started off doing squats. Our first set of squats was like 100. We had to do push-ups. Our first set was 50, but then it went down to 20 as the day went on. Around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock is when we were allowed to touch the ring. All before that, we just kept doing squats, sit-ups, push-ups, running back and forth, carrying each other. It was so many drills. They call me water bug. And the reason why they call me water bug, because when I went down to the school, I weighed 190, but I wasn't really 190. It was all water weight. So after my first 2 hours of running around, it was like a puddle around me. So that's how I got the name water bug. After around 1 o'clock, they let us touch the ring. They let us touch it so we could do more sit-ups under the ropes. They had us running the ropes. We were black and blue by 2 o'clock. Then they had us doing more squats. We got up to like 500 squats in one set. And when I say one set, I don't mean during the whole course of the day. I mean, you started at 1. We didn't stop till we got to 500. Our legs were locking up. Our hands were locking up. We were shaking. People were dropping out left and right. And we still had maybe 3 more hours to go. And there were people throwing up. There were people just quitting, saying I couldn't do it. Some people hanged in there for, maybe 20 something at the end of the day. And by the time the second day started, even people that made it didn't even show up because they couldn't do it. So that was just the first day. Then we had the second day, and they already told us, we said, why don't you guys do us a favor and just quit? None of you guys are going to make it anyway, so we can finish our routine. And everybody's looking around like, what the hell are they talking about? Quit. We didn't come here to quit. But by the end of the day, it was only 2 of us left. So I see exactly what they meant. And the third day, it was still the same two, me and Rick, which is known as Reno. And Rick told me on the third day that he already came through once and he quit the first time. He said he definitely wasn't going to quit the second time. And I told him I wanted to do this all my life. There was no way I was going to quit. So we agreed to help each other and we was going to make it to the end. And we made it. But the second day and the third day was the same old deal. Same old squats, no mercy, no nothing. We were locking up, we were falling down, and we just kept pushing. We never quit. And I made it into wrestling. That's how we did it.
Did you train anywhere else before that point?
No, that was my first time. But only thing that kind of helped me was my martial arts, the discipline of doing squats and sit-ups and all that stuff. But never at that level, but it kind of helped me.
Right. Now, who was actually the trainer at that time? Was it Buddy Lee Parker?
Yep, Buddy Lee Parker. We called him Sarge. That was the only thing we was allowed to call him. Mike Winter was there. Pez Watley was there, bless his heart. And Jody Hamilton, known as Mr. Assassin, he was there.
What were your initial impressions of, Buddy Lee Parker? A lot of people say he was, tough.
Yeah, he those first 3 days, we all felt that man took his job way too serious. But as months went by, he explained to us why he did what he did to make us appreciate the business. So I have nothing but respect for him.
What about Pez Watley? What are your thoughts on Pistol Pez?
Pez is the man. Let me tell you, there was points in my tryout where I was falling apart, and Pez would send somebody over there to help me do push-ups to keep going and not to quit. I wasn't going to quit, but Pez made sure I did not quit. And he told me, he said, didn't you say quitting wasn't an option? So keep going. So, those are the things I remember about Pez. And once I made it, I was training, doing my wrestling, and Pez came up to me and said, you really want to be a wrestler? I said, yeah, I moved from New York. I brought my family down here. He said, this is how you make it. Not only do you have to learn wrestling, you have to learn how to talk, you have to learn how to do things other people don't do. And he said, right now, we're at the point where you have to know high flying. And he said, every day you come in here, you need to practice everything. Whether you come early, stay late, I don't care how you got to do it, you just need to do it. He said, you need to do something that nobody else can do. And he said, I can tell you what that one thing is. And I'm like, what is it? What do I need to do? He said, why don't you learn how to walk the ropes? There's only 1 or 2 people that can do it. And they're not they're not on TV now. So if you learn it and somebody see you do it, I bet you it'll get you on TV. So Pez is the reason why I started walking the ropes. He's the one who told me I should start doing it.
I was going to ask you, how did you get your balance and the timing and stuff like that? How did you develop that?
I think I basically got the balance because I used to do gymnastics. So that kind of helped me. But every day I would get up there and just take 1 step and fall. I'd take 2 steps and fall. Then it got to the point where I could actually walk out to the middle, jump, spin on a rope, land on it again, jump, spin, land on it again, then jump off and do a flip. So the more I started doing it, the better I got. And then my confidence on the rope was just as good as my confidence standing in the middle of the ring. So it was just repetition.
Did you ever take any crazy bumps to the floor or anything like that?
Oh, from the rope?
Yeah, from the rope.
Oh, yeah. One time I jumped up to the top rope, then I spent, I hit the top rope again, then I flipped backwards and landed on everybody outside on the floor, and everybody thought I lost my mind.
What about Jody Hamilton? What was his role at the power plant?
Mr. Hamilton was good. I mean, his role was to make sure that we was learning wrestling at a pace where they could have us, like certain people at different paces. So he would talk to each wrestler, individual and as groups. But like there was times he pulled me into the office and said, hey, you're doing this, but you need to be at this point. So you need to hurry up and get to that point because this is what I have planned for you. And like my first month after training, like I took martial arts and all those other things, he said, you need to start wrestling people now. I was like, but I've only been training a month. He said, you need to start wrestling people now. So after a month of training, I was scared, but I got into the ring and started doing shows.
You're talking about house shows for WCW?
No, not for WCW, just house shows in the area. Then they would take me like to Alabama or wherever, or Florida, wherever I could do a house show.
Just indie shows?
Yeah, little indie shows, getting paid $50, $100. But he said it's not about the money. It's about experience so I can make the real money.
Now, when you were on those scenes, when did you start to learn the psychology of the business and stuff?
Mr. Hamilton, actually every day that we got into the ring, he would explain psychology to us. So we would pick it up. But let me tell you, it was maybe 2 years into wrestling, not even 2 years, maybe a year. They kept explaining things to us and it really didn't click. And the next thing you know, I was in the ring one day doing something and I was going to do something. I was like, why would I do that? That don't make sense. And then all of a sudden, psychology hit me. And it was something I couldn't pick up. Meanwhile, he was drilling it in our heads every single day. But just one day it hit me, and I haven't been able to let it go since.
So at the power plant, where you basically taught how to bump there, how to work, wrestle, as far as, like, what was the most important thing you learned at the power plant?
Respect.
Okay, respect.
Respect was the biggest thing we learned. We learned everything. They taught us how to act around other wrestlers. But the biggest thing that they taught us was respect. They said you need to respect people that's just starting to do it, people that's just making it to TV, and there's people that's been doing it for years. And we're learning from their mistakes, or people who made it to the top. We're going to learn things they did right and wrong, so hopefully we can be side by side with them. But respect was the biggest and the hardest thing that we had to learn.
What other WCW wrestlers came to the camp and trained you guys?
Natural Born Thrillers, all of those guys, we all went through together. Let's see who else. Bob Sapp, he came through.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep, but when the company fell apart, he didn't come with WWE. Yeah, basically all the Thrillers, myself, Bob Sapp, and there was some other, Sean O'Hara.
Right.
But he was with the Thrillers too.
Mike Samples there?
Yeah, Mike Sanders, yeah, he was there. It was like all the Thriller guys, we were all together. We all was brought up at the same time, thanks to Vince. He saw us in the school one day and said, "What are you guys doing here?" And we was like, "Hey, we're learning." He said, "If you guys don't have it by now, you'll never get it." And he put us all on TV.
Wow. Now, how often did Eric Bischoff or anyone else in management come to the school?
Well, the first school was maybe 10 miles away from the office. But the second school that Paul Orndorff was in charge of was in the office area. So they had a big section of it blocked off. They had 4 rings, everything. It was top of the line wrestling equipment, rings, everything. It was like, if you could dream. All right, let me put it like this. When we went to the first wrestling school, I never knew nothing about wrestling, but all I knew was associated with WCW. So I knew it was going to be like top equipment, rings, whatever. And it was nothing of the sort. It was dirty rings, dirty school. It was boxes and cases all over the place. And the second power plant was like the dream that I thought the first one was going to be. I mean, we cleaned that school. We cleaned the old school. Don't get me wrong. But the second school was like, not only is this school for you guys, but it's for people that's coming here and it's business people and things we're going to be doing. So this school must always stay clean, which we didn't have a problem cleaning the school because we was always taught every day you work out, you clean. But I mean, this working out and cleaning was like hand in hand.
Take us through the day, I guess, when you were told that you would be called up. You said that Vince Russo basically came and saw you guys and you came up with the idea.
Yeah. Actually, well, even before that, there was a time when Paul Orndorff told me, he said, "You're just too small." And I've seen, like, what they was doing first was they would put us on Saturday night. What they had Saturday night back then. Right. So we do Saturday night and then come back. And our dream was to make it to, Nitro and Thunder and all that stuff. But we had to get to Saturday night first. And I would always ask Paul, I'm ready. When am I going to go? "You're not ready. You're too small." What do you mean I'm too small? I do everything you ask me to do. "You're just too small. You need to get a little bigger." I'm like, "Okay, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it." And let me tell you, I was maybe 185, 190, and that was hard for me. So I was like, "All right, if you want me to get bigger, I'll try." I could not get bigger. Could not. But luck have it, Steven Regal came to the school one day and saw me in the ring, and I'm like doing all this stuff. And he said, "I've seen everybody on Saturday night. When are you coming?" I said, "I don't know. Ask Paul." So he went over there and asked Paul. "Paul, this kid, he's amazing. Why is he not on Saturday night?" He said, "Oh, don't worry. He's going next week." And sure enough, next week I was on Saturday night.
Nice.
But that's how I finally made it to get on TV. But once Vince Russo, he came in one day. The deal was, when he first got there, he wanted to see some of the new talent because he heard there was new talent in the back. So they told us, "Hey, just pair up with somebody, do a match. No big deal, just do a match." So Vince came, he's back there talking on his phone, watching us wrestle. So we were all in the ring wrestling. And he was talking on his phone. Next you know, he hung up his phone. He's watching us. He's like, "You guys are really good." And I remember I was in the ring with Alan. We did something. I slammed him. I flew to the top rope. And I started to walk out to the middle of the rope. And as I'm walking, Vince screamed, "Stop." And I looked. I'm like, "What's wrong?" And I'm standing on the top rope. And Vince's like, "No, you go. I'm talking to the person on the phone." I'm like, "Oh," and I jumped off and I hit Alan and rolled off. And then he hung up the phone. He said, "Can you do that again?" I jumped to the top rope. I walked off. This time I flipped. I didn't do anything. And he just laughed, and he just laughed. And he pulled up everybody aside and said, "Why are you guys here?"
Huh.
And next you know, a week later, they was using all on TV. Next you know, we had the Natural Born Thrillers. And then they didn't put me with those guys, so I was heartbroken. I was like, wait a minute, I'm just as good as the rest of them. I'm thinking Paul had something to do with it because, you know, I'm too small. But he said, no, I got different plans for you. I want to put you with Team Canada. They need somebody like you. And don't worry, it's all going to work out. I'm like, all right, if that's what you say, you know, I just have to trust you. He said, don't worry, I got big plans for you.
What was your first night of TV like?
I was scared. Let me tell you, I dreamed about this like my whole life. And it's different because Saturday night was TV, but, you know, Monday night was like the show.
It was live. Huh.
Yeah, it was the show. You know, Saturdays was live too, but it wasn't live.
Right.
You know, we had the big audience there. You had all the cameras, the heat, the lights, and everything. But let me tell you, the first Monday night, I was scared. And it was like, I told myself I wouldn't get scared. It's no big deal. This is I trained for all my life. This is what I wanted. But when it came down to it, I was scared. But once I got into the ring, I was in my comfort zone, and I had a good match.
Now, the first Saturday night, who did you work?
My first Saturday night, I worked Johnny the Bull.
Okay.
Johnny the Bull. And actually, he did that new finish that he had that he don't do anymore. He killed me with it. Huh. He jumped to the top rope, and he spit backwards, blind, and did a blind leg drop. And he landed on me ass first instead of leg. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't, you know, my first night on Saturday night, I would have been complaining, but I was just so happy to be out there.
And from there, was it like pretty much the next couple of weeks you were right on Nitro? Or?
Yeah, no. We did that for a while, for a couple of months, and the next, you know, Vince came. Then once Vince came, he got us all out to school. Except for the only person that got out faster than the rest of us was Romeo got out quick and Chuck got out quick. Chuck Palmer, he got out quick.
Right.
They had some plans with him. They had him working a deal with Scott Steiner, but those are the only two guys that got out, you know, faster than the rest of us.
What are your memories of your debut match with, I think it was Prince Akea, right?
Oh, this story, Prince is a really nice guy. He take his work serious just like I do. But the first time I met him, it was down at the school. He got hurt, so he was reworking an injury. He's trying to, you know, get himself back together. And this was also during the first month I just made it to the school. So, and I saw him, first of all, I was like, oh shit, that's Prince. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna learn a lot from him. So I got in the ring. I was trying to do some stuff. He told me I sucked and I need a lot of practice. And I said, well, you know, I'm just learning. You know, it's only my first couple of weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it is. He said, well, you still suck. You got a lot of work you need to do. Work on all these things. I said, okay. So, you know, Prince, you know, he's one of the guys on TV. I'm going to do whatever it is, you know, he say I need to do. So I'm working on all this stuff. He come back maybe 3 months later. And, oh, Prince is here. Whoa, oh, man, I'm stretch. I'm getting in the ring, work out with him. I get in the ring. He tell me I suck again. I suck again. So I said, what do I need to work on? He said, you just don't get it. He said, just gave me a bunch of things to work on the next couple of months. He told me I suck again. Third time he told me I suck. So knowing that in his eyes I suck, I find out I make it to TV and my first match is with Prince. Huh. So I say to myself, no matter what I do, I got a feeling I'm going to suck. So I'm just going to go out there and do what I do. Have fun. Sure enough, we go out there. It was an okay match. I come in the back. Prince said, you learned a lot. And that was it. So I wanted a better match, but just by him saying, instead of saying I suck, he said, you know, I'm learning a lot. I was kind of happy with it.
Right. How did the other wrestlers treat you, the veterans?
They were the veterans. Some would talk to us, some wouldn't. Like Macho Man, the first time I met him on TV, I went up to him. First of all, remember, respect is the biggest thing. So we wasn't allowed. They taught us not to go up to anybody. Just say hi and walk away. Not to sit there and talk to them like we somebody because, you know, it's a lot of stuff they got to be doing. They don't have time to sit there and talk with us. But when I met Macho Man, I told him I was in training. You know, I'm just learning how to do it. You know, I appreciate all the things those guys done for us. They paved the way for us. He sat down and talked to me for like a half an hour. Most wrestlers wasn't that way. They looked at us like we were trying to take their jobs from them, but we, you know, was just trying to make a name for ourselves and make money like everybody else. But some wrestlers looked at us as a threat. Some wrestlers said, hey, you know, we need the new guys. You know, you guys are the future. Right. So it just was mixed opinions.
Did any of the veterans try to rib you guys or give you a hard time at all? Or?
Not me, but they did rib us every now and then. I remember one time Alan and I think it was Rick Steiner. No, it was Rick Steiner. Alan was talking shit with Rick Steiner, which, first of all, if you know Rick, you don't talk shit to him. But they did a match together, so, you know, they kind of had that, you know, we kind of sort of we're friends. So Alan thought he could talk junk to Rick, so he was talking junk, and Rick said to Alan, "You don't know who I am, do you? You don't know what I'll do to you." So everybody, all the boys backed away because they thought Rick was gonna like rip him a new one. And he said, no, you know what? I'm just going to let this one go. But he went to Alan's bag and took out all of his gear. He's going to rip up his gear. And they was like, no, I think Chavo is the one who saved him. He said, no, you can't. He won't have nothing to wear on TV tonight. He said, hey, somebody got to teach these boys a lesson. You just don't come to the locker room and say what you want to say. But Chavo is the one who saved Alan that night from Rick Steino. So,
as far as like any of the other guys besides Randy Savage, did anybody else take you under their wing at all? Like try to be a mentor to you?
Actually, yeah, it was a lot of guys. But the one guy who helped us a lot on the road was Hugh Morris. I don't know his real name, but I always known him as Hugh. I think his real name is Craig or something.
No, it's something. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely Hugh Morris. That's what I know him as. I remember.
Aldemar.
Okay, yeah. Well, our first couple of times we did dark matches for WCW. He always would pull us aside and talk to us. Him and Dallas was really good about that. Dallas would come down to the school at least once a month and talk and work with all of us, tell us things we need to work on. He taught us not to watch the matches as fans, but watch it as in, we need to take from here and create our own. But Hugh would always pull us aside and say, he'd watch the whole match. We didn't have to, usually you have to come in the back and say, hey, did you watch my match? Hugh would be waiting at the curtain. He'd be like, hey, this was good, that was bad. What were you thinking when you did this? Did you forget about psychology here? I could tell you was nervous here. He said, the same way you act in the back, you got to act in the ring. And the best part about Hugh was when I first started with Team Canada, it was against Hugh and them. So it was perfect for me because his philosophy was, when you get in the ring with me, you better try to kill me because I was so much smaller, he was so much bigger. He said, I'd rather you give me a black eye than to hit me with some punk old punch and, it looked really bad. So I was blessed when I first started off my deals with him.
What advice did Dallas give you?
Oh, Dallas was just, he was always the type of person where, hey, always work on your interviews. It's not just about wrestling. You got to learn everything. He said, but what you do in the ring got to make sense. So, we would do some things in the ring and he would come in the ring and work with us. Then he would come in the ring and practice some new stuff with us. And then he'd be like, hey, give me a move. Give me something that, you're doing. Just give me a move. And he'd be like, all right, well, try this. He's like, all right, that's good. Next thing you know, he would do it on TV. So, that was really good.
Wait, he was stealing your moves?
No, he wasn't stealing them.
All right.
His deal was, show me something. Hey, I'm going to try it on TV. And he would do it. But I remember one time, who used to work with him a lot? Oh, God, what's his name? Raging Cajun.
Scott Lamore?
No.
I know who you're talking
Lash LaRue.
Yeah,
Lash used to always work with Dallas, always. And from the old school, and Dallas pulled him up and helped him get on TV before everybody. Because every time Dallas used to come, Lash would jump in the ring, would always work with him. So, Dallas talked to some people, I guess Eric, and next thing you know, he was right on TV. But it paid to get in the ring and work with those guys. And it wasn't about, giving a move or taking their bumps. It was just, if we could take it down there, then we could take it on TV. Some people would see the veterans come to the school and be like, I'm not working with him. Why am I working with him? He can't help me. And that was the first thing we learned, respect.
Right.
They already had lost it and never even made it to TV.
Eric Bischoff, speaking of Eric Bischoff, what were your initial impressions of Eric?
To me, he was a businessman. He barely ever spoke to us. The first time he ever really talked to us, we were in trouble because we were doing security. And for some reason, they was using us. They was using the power plant guys as security, and they was using guys from Nashville for security. And some of the Nashville guys lost their mind. Like, they got on TV and they started jumping around like it was about them, and it wasn't. It was about us doing security, staying out the camera's way, letting them do what they got to do. But my first, he got with us. He yelled at all of us and said, if it ever happened again, we'll never be on TV. And that was my first meeting with him. But he was a very serious guy all the time. He always had certain people always talking to him, and certain people always stayed away from him. But he never did anything bad by me.
What about Vince Russo? What were your initial thoughts of Vince?
Vince is like my biggest hero. First of all, he got me out to school. Second of all, he just made it well known that anytime I wanted to talk about anything, whether I thought it was stupid or minute, I could always come in and talk to him. I could be doing a promo or a vignette for something, and he'd stop us right in the middle. Like, hey, what are you doing? you're trying to be somebody else. Be yourself. Do what you would do. Don't do what your partner's doing because we don't need two of him. We already got one. But the way he came across was like he was my friend. It wasn't like he was my boss. He always made me feel comfortable. He's like, hey, try it. If it don't work, we'll do something else. We waste tape on people all the time, but sometimes we have to do that to find everybody's niche. So to me, Vince was a really big help in my career. Once I made it to TV, he made me feel really comfortable in front of the camera.
He was pretty approachable then.
Yeah.
Unlike Eric, who was...
Yeah, I could always go to Vince and talk to him about anything. Anything.
What do you remember of your first pay-per-view match? I think it was with Alan Funk.
Yes. It was my first pay-per-view, so I was scared. I don't know why. It's just, my dream was always to make it as wrestling. Then I made it in wrestling, and then it was to get on Nitro. I made it on Nitro. Then it was to do a pay-per-view. It didn't matter if I was the first match, a dark match, I was on the pay-per-view. Well, we made it as the first match, and the word from everybody was it was like one of the best matches that night. To me, back then, like at that point in my career, I looked at myself as a nobody because I was just learning, and they wanted to do interviews with me, I'm like, why me? I was the first match. Why would they want to talk to me? But they was really impressed. They wanted to know about my training and what was we thinking when we was doing certain things. I think that night I jumped to the top rope and did a moonsault to the floor. And I went back so far, I hit the camera and took out the camera guy. Also that night I jumped to the top rope. I spent in the air and landed behind Alan. And then I Germaned him. So people just wanted to learn, they just wanted to know, like, how do you come up with stuff like that? And I said, that's the stuff that I've been learning from Pez Watley ever since, I've been training to school.
What did the office say to you after the match? Were they happy with it?
They were really, really impressed, and they were just really impressed. If before we went out, they said, this is a pay-per-view. You guys set the tone for the night. But also, we don't want to put pressure on you, but, you're the first match. So if you make a mistake, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But, you guys set the tone for the night. So if you do really good, then from your point, all the matches should get better and better and better. But from the reviews we got, they were like, holy shit, you guys are ready. But it was with Alan. Our deal was all the power plant guys, we all said to each other, we're all here to help each other. So we'll do whatever we got to do to get where we got to be. And back then, let me tell you, we used to beat each other up. But, we were the boys, so.
Was there ever like a camaraderie where you guys would want to be better than the veterans? You want to go out there and do a great match?
Yeah, that was our goal. Our goal was we knew we were the new guys, but we wanted to prove that we were just as good as those guys. Now that I look back on it, we were never as good as those guys, but we had hearts like you would not believe, and we would do whatever it takes, just to try to get to that point. But we, at that stage in our career, we had so much to learn, interviews and it was just so much other things we had to learn. The only thing we really knew was just how to work in the ring, but it was so much more than just wrestling in the ring.
Now, did any of the vets ever come to you guys and say, "Oh, it's got to tone it down"? Or you guys were like,
No. They were funny. They would say certain things like, "Oh my God, so and so is going out there. He's gonna do every single move. Put me before his match or something like that." But they never said it. Well, some did, but most of them were like, more psychology. You guys got to work on your psychology. It's not about how much stuff you do. It's, placing things the right way, which is what we learned. But when you first starting out, you want to prove to everybody that you can do it. So sometimes we put our moves before psychology, which is the worst thing you can do. But we were learning.
What were politics like in WCW back then?
From my point of view, basically, I was on TV. After I made it with Team Canada, I was on TV every single night. So I don't think politics really gave me a hard time because I was with the right group at the right time and Vince was behind us. But I heard, depending on who you are and what you were doing, you could either be on TV or you could be sitting at home getting paid. So it just depends on where you were at and who you were with, where, politics played more in that role.
Did you see a lot of, disputing going on with Bischoff and Russo?
No. I've never seen that. I heard it was going on, but they never did it in front of me or in wherever I was or in the locker room. It's not like they came back there and started arguing in front of us. But I heard there was a lot of, back and forth things that was going on, but they never did it in front of us. When
Bischoff was there, did you see guys like Hogan having Eric's ear and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall struggling for power too, like the clicks and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if they were struggling for power, but like I said, back then, those guys, there was always certain people in certain people's ear. And I know Hogan was a big part of the show, Kevin Nash, Scott, all those guys were like the top guys. So you expect them to be around Eric, not us, because we were just learning. So, and that was the first thing we learned. That was like the respect stuff. That's who he had his time for because they were his money makers. And one day we were hoping to get to that point. So we knew our place wasn't to be by Eric's side. Our place was to talk to so-and-so, to deliver the message, and then they'll tell us what we could do. That's why I respect Vince so much because, to us, Vince was on top and he was approachable to us. So,
who did you travel with at that time period?
Natural Born Thrillers. I basically traveled with those guys, mostly Allen. Me and Paisley hit it off. We always used to travel together. Who else? Jimmy Yang. Those guys I basically stayed with.
Now, at that time, did you ever experience any racism in wrestling at all? Or
no, but I heard a lot about it. And like Bobby Walker, I used to always talk to him.
I was going to ask you about that, your thoughts on the lawsuit.
Yeah, I used to always talk to him. Or he would talk to me. He's like, be careful what you do. He said, sometimes they'll laugh in your face, but then they'll be calling you the N-word behind your back and things like that. He said, it's funny because, they know how we feel about it, but they think because some people say it to each other, it's okay for them to say it. And he said, you just got to put them in a place, since day one. I was like, I never really had those type of problems. He said, well, believe me, they exist. And he said, you got to address them as soon as they start. Otherwise, you'll be like a joke. So, I knew it was there. Actually, when I made it on TV, there was some rumors saying the reason why I made it because they was in the process of that lawsuit. So they needed to prove that they were pushing black people too. And that's one of the reasons why I heard I got the cruiserweight belt. But it was never, they told me I was a good athlete. Terry Taylor came to me and said, you're a really good athlete. You're what we're looking for. And we're thinking about doing some spots with you and we're looking at giving you the belt. And my idea to him was, why are you going to give it to me? I'd rather earn it. He said, trust me, we might be putting the belt in your hand, but you'll have to defend it every single night. So you either have it or you don't.
Right.
So, but, it was out there. It was never really thrown in my face saying, you this, you that, or nobody never came up to me and said, oh, the only reason why you're here because you're black. Nobody never did that. But I heard, it was a lot of things that was going on. But I guess by the time I got there, it toned down somewhat. But it wasn't as bad as, some people say it was.
Now, what promises did WCW make you? You just said that they promised you the belt.
That was probably the only, it wasn't really a promise. They just said, we got a lot of plans and this is what we're going to do. And they actually did what they said they was going to do. Only off the book deal that they made with me, they said the problem we have with some of the guys that's here now is they get paid whether they do something or don't. And we don't want that problem with you guys. We want you to come out there and bust your behind every single night. And the deal they said to me is just like the song, Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? We don't care if you had 50 great matches. The 51st match, we want you to have another great match. Everybody's allowed to have a bad match, but we want you to bust your behind every single night because now we have people that, I'm coming here, I'm making all this money, and I don't have to do nothing. He said, we don't want that with you guys. Otherwise, we might as well get rid of everybody. So,
now, how did you wind up being paired with Lance Storm?
I guess Vince just saw something. He said, when he first talked to me, he said we initially have like the same type of work ethics. Training and all that other stuff. And he said I was a really good mat wrestler on top of high flying. He said, so, surprise him. One night, do all the crazy stuff. One night, do the mat wrestling. One night, give him some of everything. He said, and once I feel like I'm running out of things to do, then start doing my martial arts. And that's why I never really did that many kicks. I was kind of saving that for the next part of my career. Once people think, oh, that's everything you got, then I was going to, hit him with the martial arts.
What are your thoughts on Lance?
Lance is like one of the best professionally, in and out the ring. To me, Lance could do it all. Lance was a cruiserweight. Lance was the U.S. Lance was the whatever you call it with the garbage cans. Most wrestlers, the hardcore. Lance did it all. I mean, he really, really did it all. And on top of all of that, he could mat wrestle. I was just blessed to be with people like that. When you work with people like that, they just make you better. And another thing that really helped me was when I started out, I first started with the power plant guys, and then I went straight to Kidman and Ray. I mean, how do you go bad? It's one thing when you work with somebody at your same level or under you, but when you work with somebody that's 100 times better than you, you have no choice but to get better. So that's what kind of helped my career.
What did you actually learn from Lance by teaming with him?
Just doing things, making whatever we do. To him, the most important thing was making it make sense, not just doing it to be doing it. And he said we wasn't out there to make friends. We were Team Canada. We were the bad guys. There's only one time in our career we'll ever get cheated, and that's if we go to Canada, which was true. He said otherwise, that's the reason why we go out there. We don't go out there to shake hands or whatever it is. Our deal is to be bad guys, and that's what we're gonna be.
Did you like being a heel at the time?
Yeah. Actually, I was just happy to be out to school because we was bumping 8 hours a day. When you get to TV, you bump, but it's nothing like it at school for 8 hours. So I was just happy to be on TV. And then once they put me in that role, I found out not only was I on TV, but I was in a good role where I was going to be used every single night. So whatever it is they wanted me to do, I would do.
Did you like the gimmick itself?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I had a lot of fun with it. I heard it's a lot easier to be a heel than go to a face, and then you can always go back and forth. But I really had fun going out there pissing people off.
Right. What are some of your standout matches you remember when you were teaming with Lance?
One of the funny, well, actually, when we went out there with Lance, if you can hear the things we say in the ring, that probably was the best. But working with it was like Ray Kidman, it was Conan, those guys, they had their group, the Filthy Animals. They were hot at the time. I mean, everybody loved them, everybody hated us. So it was perfect, putting us against them. We had, I think, the first ever penalty box match.
I remember that.
I think Conan came up with them. We even beat them at their own game. That was probably one of the best matches we had. The fact that it was all of us. We went through a couple of people. We had Duggan, which Duggan was fun to work with. Just his energy, and he was so many years ahead of us, ahead of me. I don't know about them, but he was so many years ahead of me. And he would, just tell me, I put too much pressure on myself. Just go out there and have fun, and it'll come. And it's funny because we did a match. It was me and Duggan against, I think, Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Hara. We did a tag team match against those guys, and I had so much fun. I had no pressure, no nothing. Duggan's like, we're just going to go out there and have fun, and whatever happens, happen. And sure enough, to me, we just had a lot of fun.
What about Mike Awesome? What are your thoughts on being paired with Mike?
Mike was good. At first, it was funny because we used to always battle against him, and next thing you know, they put him with us. I think we needed him because, I was small, Lance was kind of big, Mike was just huge and big, so we needed a strong big man, and that was Mike Awesome. And Mike could do it all, too. And when I say do it all, he was more of a big guy, but he could go, and he could high fly and do some of the crazy stuff, too. So I think Mike was a good addition to Team Canada.
Before you actually went to WCW, did you ever consider going on, maybe ECW at all to try to get into that company?
No, and it's not because ECW was whatever it was. I took business and all this other stuff. So my thoughts were there was a power plant, and the power plant was affiliated with WCW. So I figured if I made it into the power plant and if I was good enough, then WCW would pick me up. And it took me a year, but it worked out. Only bad thing was the company went out of business, but that's the only reason why I went to the power plant.
Right. Now, when you were working on TV and stuff like that, did you realize that the booking was crazy and stuff like that? I mean, was it?
Yes.
All right.
Because some places I heard they have things done well ahead of time. I heard, I would ask, what are we doing next week? Just so I could start mentally preparing for it. And sometimes they just didn't know. But if we were in an angle, you knew what you were kind of doing next. Well, you knew who you were wrestling. You didn't kind of know, what you were doing, but you knew who you were wrestling. But there were days when we get to the show and they were still in the meeting. And once they get out the meeting, then we found out what we were doing. So in that aspect, I think we were kind of behind.
What are your memories working with Billy Kidman?
To me, Billy's the best. Let me tell you, I started off working him on Saturday nights, and I was scared. Let me tell you, I was a fan, and I always knew I wanted to wrestle. And I remember I watched Billy come up through the company. He started off with, what's his name? God, Raven. He came out in the flock. He came out with the jeans, dirty, so on and so forth. And I watched. And then as he broke away from them, you found out, this kid could really wrestle. And then I seen him do matches and come out with Tori. I was like, he's really good by himself. And then I was like, I want to be like him. And then I came to the show one day and I looked up on the board. It said, Elix Skipper, Billy Kidman. Got scared because it was a dream. I was like, shit, I'm not even on Nitro or Thunder and I'm already wrestling him. Man, I was nervous. I went up to him and said, I'm Elix Skipper, I'm new. I was scared. He's like, don't worry, we're going to have fun. And the biggest thing he said to me is, I'm already over, so let's do what we got to do to get you over. And
Cool.
if you know wrestling, wrestling's not that way. You know, over guys always keep themselves over, or they might, pick up a few guys that they see that have it. But it's hard to get another wrestler that's already up there and doing the right thing and making money to help somebody that's just coming into business. And remember, I never made it to real TV yet. I was just on Saturday. And Saturday is real TV, but it's not the big show. But Billy was like, he was going to help me. And he said, all I had to do was listen. So, I always take my hat off to him. And he's one of those great competitors in and out of the ring.
Did you guys have a good match?
The first time, to me, he said it was a good match. To me, it was okay. I wanted to do more, but my psychology, it wasn't about more. It was about me kicking his behind, getting him on the mat, and let him be the babyface that he was. So he told me it's not about what you do sometimes. It's about how you come across. If you're going to be a heel, be a heel. So that's what I learned that first night with him. And I missed one little spot, which nobody ever know, just me and him know. And he said, if we only know and nobody else know, it's no big deal. He said, that's what we get paid to do. So...
What about Rey Mysterio Jr.? You worked with him a little bit. What was some of your memories of working with Rey?
Ray is the man. Ray can do it all. Ray wrestled big people, small people. To me, Ray is like a Kurt Angle. He can wrestle anybody. And Ray, it's just, you hope your career is half as good as, Billy, Ray. You just hope. And just to be in the ring with them and just to see how good they are, you have no choice but to get better. And I'm just so glad I had the opportunity to start off my career with those guys because they just made me better.
Did the management ever explain to you, I guess, like Russo or whoever was booking at the time, why they just gave you this cruiserweight belt by Lance and you didn't go over anybody?
Yes, actually, Terry Taylor explained it to me when they were thinking about doing it. And then he came to me and said, this is the reason why. And I didn't kind of agree with it, but who was I to say, no, I don't want the belt?
I was going to ask you, did you think it killed the credibility of the belt?
No. Well, personally, I did. But when he explained to me what they was going to do, and I'd have to prove myself night after night, and I'd have to physically show them how good I was, and I'd have to be arrogant and cocky, then it made sense. But I'd rather win it. But the way they did it, it was good too. But some people like it, some people don't. But
what about Kevin Nash? What are your thoughts on Kevin Nash?
People can say what they want about Kevin. This is my deal with Kevin. The Natural Born Thrillers, all those guys was in the locker room. I was in the locker room with a bunch of other people. Kevin Nash said to all of us one day, you guys are the future. And I don't care what these guys tell you, we need to work with you guys because there's going to come a day when we have to put you guys over. So that's what Kevin said to us. He said, some of you guys are not there yet, and some of you guys will be there yet. But if we don't give you the push or the rub, who's going to give it to you? That was the first speech Kevin gave us.
Do you think he was sincere, or you think?
Put it like this. My first match in the ring with Kevin, it was me. When I lost my belt, it was Mike Sanders, Kevin Nash, and myself. It was a three-way. And I've been wrestling on TV maybe 6-7 months. I had the belt. And it came a point in time in the match where I was going to jump on Kevin and hit him. I was like, so Kev, I'm going to come hit you. I was like, do you want me to hit you or you just going to cut me off? He's like, no, hit me. Why can't you hit me? I was like, Kevin, do you know I've been wrestling for God know how long? And I wasn't allowed to, hit you or Scott or, all the guys that's over. He said, how you guys going to get over if you can't beat on us?
All right.
Kev let me float to the top rope. He was saying something. He turned around. I missile drop kicked him. He fell. He jumped up. I drop kicked him again. He got in the corner. I started beating him up. I busted his lip. He never complained, never nothing. He said, good job. He said, that's what you need to do. Wrestle me like you do everybody else. Never complained, never nothing. He always ribbed me about it, but he never complained in the ring. He said, that's what you need to do with everybody. If you can do it with me, you can do it with anybody that's in the locker room. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for him.
What about Scott Hall?
Scott Hall, back at that time, he didn't really, he always talked to us. He didn't, like now I'm a lot closer with Scott Hall at TNA.
Right.
Than I was back then. But he would always speak to us and talk to us a little bit. But now it's like, he's more like I did the match where I walked on top of the cage and he pulled me aside and talked to me for like 30 minutes. And everything he said to me made sense. He said of what I need to do from that point to where I'm at now. So Scott Hall's a cool guy. He helped, but there's some people that think they know everything and don't want to go to the veterans for help. And I'm telling you, this is one of those businesses where, you can't think you know everything because just when you think you know it all, it switch. So you got to be able to go to those guys for help.
What about Hulk Hogan? How was he to you guys?
He was good to us. He's professional. I never talked to him in depth about anything, but he always said hi. He always would shake your hand. He never didn't act like he was too good.
Right.
So and I remember one day I came up to him and I said, hey, I just want to say thank you. I told him who I was. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't for people like you, I probably wouldn't be here today. And he said, hey, he's like, hey, brother, hey, brother, it's nice to see that you appreciate, what's going on in the business. And he said a couple of other things to me too, but, he's a good guy.
What do you think the downfall of WCW was attributed to?
I heard, and plus from what the things I saw, like in the last couple of months of it, it just seemed like they were doing really good for a long time. And then all of a sudden, I guess they were losing the ratings, but people didn't still pay the same amount. People had those fixed contracts where whether the company was doing bad or good, they still was going to make tons of money. And some people didn't work as hard. They was already making the money, so why do I have to work harder?
All right.
That's why when we got our contract, it was based off of you get this X amount, and when you do, the more shows you do, the more money you get. So it was like an incentive to us. So I think that kind of was why. Plus, some of the things that was going on in the office too, I heard, they was giving people positions and then the wrestlers didn't respect them, and respect is everything in wrestling. So if the boys don't respect who's in the office, things tend to fall apart, and that's kind of, I think, what happened.
Were you bitter about the company going under?
No, I wasn't bitter because WCW worst days was my best days because that's when I came on TV. I kind of did my homework, and I didn't think WCW was going to go out of business. So I was planning on making millions and so on and so forth. So that's the kind of only thing I didn't anticipate was WCW going out of business. I wasn't bitter because I was just happy that I got the break that I got before they went out of business. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have went straight to WWE. I wouldn't have been able to go to Japan for a year and a half. And I wouldn't have, probably made it to TNA. So, WCW was my doors to wrestling.
How did you find out it was being sold?
Everybody's talking about it for months. I mean, it wasn't like all of a sudden one day they got sold. It was more like every week we came in, it was like we was doing shows every week, and then we was doing 2 shows in one night. So you knew something was going on. Then we kept hearing about possible buyers. Then we kept hearing about people in Vegas that might buy the company. Then we heard Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan might do something. So we knew something was going to happen. We just didn't know what was going to happen.
Do you think if Bischoff bought the company, you would have been part of it?
I don't know. I do know that when Bischoff was back there, like first he was with the company, and then he left, and then he came back.
Right.
And him and Russo had something to do with it. I know he was happy with my work. I know one week he wasn't there, and we were doing a cruiserweight deal. Actually, it was the first time ever cruiserweight tag team belts. But he wasn't there this one week, but he was watching the show because I remember Lash did a match with Jimmy Yang. And Eric called. I guess he was pissed off because they came to me and Billy because we were the next match. No, it was another match, and then it was us. And they's like, Eric just called. He's watching. He's not happy with what we're doing. We need to step it up when we get out there. And I looked at Billy, and Billy's like, don't worry about it.
Right.
Just go out there and do what we do. I'm like, all right. And sure enough, we came in the back, and he's like, oh, man, great. That was a really good match, and so on and so forth. And, but he had something to do with it. He was definitely always in the mix.
What about Sting? What are your thoughts on Sting, and how did he treat you?
Sting, when I first met Sting, he didn't really talk to us much. Like, we would say hi to him. He would just shake our hands, sometimes say hi, but he didn't really talk to us too much. But then after a couple of months, I guess they watched what we did and see who was what. I wasn't arrogant. I was arrogant and in my character, but in the back room, I wasn't arrogant. I was just another wrestler trying to make it. So then it got to a point where he started speaking, hey, how you doing? So on and so forth. Right. I saw what you did. That was pretty good. He started talking more and more. And then one day he walked up to me and said, Elix. And I almost fell on the floor. Huh. He knew my name. And I was like, Sting know my name. It's like, oh, God, But I think with those guys, because they're old school, so they just wanted to make sure that we respect the business and respect them. So it wasn't about just because we made it. We didn't make it. We still had to prove ourselves to them. So
right. What about Lex Luger? How was he?
Lex was Lex.
A lot of people say that.
Towards the end, we got along good. But in the beginning, let me tell you, Lex was like, before I got into wrestling, Lex has always had a great body. Like, to me, He was a big guy, so to me he didn't. And this was before I even got into wrestling. I always thought he was a big guy, so he shouldn't have to mat wrestle. He should be throwing guys around, so on and so forth. And now this is Elix the fan talking. So when I finally got to meet Lex, I always wanted to look like him. You know, I always wish I was tall as he was, and so on and so forth. So when I got to Lex, you know, I heard he had a school in Atlanta, a gym in Atlanta, so of course I joined. You know, it's Lex Gym. He's a wrestler. I'm a wrestler. I got to join. So the first day I met him at the gym, my brother happened to come in from New York. So I said, come on, I'm going to take you to the wrestling school. We might meet a couple of people. But, you know, we can't go up and talk to him. Just say hi and walk away.
Right.
I see Lex, and all of a sudden, all the rules out the window because Lex is like Lex Luger. So I go up to him, hi, I'm Elix Skipper. I'm learning how to wrestle. This is my brother, so-and-so, and such and such. You know, one day I hope I'll be able to get in the ring and wrestle with you. Lex was doing a leg machine. He looked over at me, shook his head. I had my hand out to shake his. He never shook my hand. He's just like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, okay, it was nice talking to you. I went back to my brother. My brother wanted to beat him up. And my brother's like, what the hell was that? I said, I was like, this wrestler's not really supposed to talk to him. My brother was like, he treated you like shit. He said, that's not what you came into wrestling for. You work hard just as anybody else. One day you're going to make it and be able to throw it back in his face. I was like, no, that's not the way it worked. But after I was thinking about what my brother said, after that day, I never spoke to him again. Like, he would be with Liz, and I would speak to Liz and wouldn't say a word to him. And then one day, he came up to me and said hi and said his name and so on and so forth. And he started talking to me, and I just started talking to him. So we've gotten along ever since then. And to this day, he still know my name. But when we first met, it was kind of rocky.
What about Bill Goldberg? What was he like?
Bill was cool as hell. He used to come down to the school. He used to train. He actually, when I made it to school, he just got out of the power plant, but he would come down every now and then. Plus, the new school we got was like the show-off school, so they would have people from Japan come in. Of course, Bill would come in, or we have people come in, invest in money, and Bill would come down to the school. He would get in the ring and work with us and do things, and then, just talking to him in the ring, like I did a move, I can't remember it, to save my life, and he looked at me and said, "Where'd you get that from?" I said, I studied tapes from Japan. He started laughing. He's like, oh, me too. He said, you probably got it from this tape because that's where I saw it, And it was just, we hit it off right then and there. And I was like, I got a martial arts background. And he's like, oh, man, why don't you do more kicks? I was like, no, I want to save it. I want to wrestle first. I'll just do a few kicks and then, I'll explode and show him I can really do martial arts. But I just come to find out he was just in the right place at the right time with the right look. And that's how he got where he was. But a lot of people say he was arrogant and cocky, but
you never saw it.
I never saw it.
What about Conan? How was he with you guys?
Conan was cool as hell. The first time I met him was at Saturday taping, and we all went up to him, and remember, this is Saturday, so we just starting to make it on TV, and, we just would go say hi and walk away. But we went up to Conan, we all shook his hand. He sat and talked with us for about an hour. And he was just telling us, about the business and things we should look out for. He was telling us we need to stick together. You got to find out who your friends are. Certain people will talk about you. Certain people want, they won't. He was saying, we should have that brotherhood where if we hit somebody in the face and, it was part of our group, it should be okay because we didn't mean it. But the fact that we were all trying to come up together, we all had to watch each other's back. So, and Conan is the same way to this day. You can get in the ring with him. Something could happen. It can go right. It can go wrong. He will tell you it was good. He will tell you it was bad. Conan is straight to the point. He don't play around. He either like it or he didn't like it or whatever it is. But Conan's cool as hell. Conan is Conan. He's not going to, color code anything for you. If you suck, he'll tell you you suck. But he'll tell you what you got to work on or what you should work on. And he'll be the first one to tell you, I don't wrestle like I used to, but this is what you need to do. So it's not like he's saying, I'm the greatest wrestler in the world or I'm the greatest person this. He'll say, I don't do this that great, but you need to do it. I'm here, you're here. You need to get where I'm at.
Right.
And you either took it the right way or the wrong way.
Buff Bagwell, what was he like?
Buff was okay. But Buff got to a point where he was like something like Luger, but not the same deal. And when I say that, he was having problems, I think, in the office. Something happened. They stopped using him for a while. Then they were using us. So then Buff was kind of, I don't think he was mad at us, but we had something to do with it. So he would come up to you and say, hi, I'm Buff Bagwell. It's nice to meet you. But he was being sarcastic.
Right.
But then we found out that they took him off TV and put us on, and other things happened that we had nothing to do with.
So it was jealousy or something?
Yeah, well, not jealous, but I think he was trying to make a point.
Right.
He was like, and I talked to him about this too, like years later. I was like, Buff, why would you treat us that way? And he said, you don't understand. When I got into this business, they didn't hand us belts. They didn't, we bust our butts to get them. He said, now wrestling has changed so much, whereas you come with a look, you don't even have to know how to wrestle, and all of a sudden they'll just give you the belt.
Right.
And he said that was his gripe with wrestling at the time. He said it was nothing against us. He was just trying to make a point, and sometimes in making his point, he got sent home. But he believed what he believed, and he stuck by it. So, it take a big man to admit, whatever. So I respect him for that. At the time, I didn't understand it, but I understand it now.
What about Ric Flair, the Nature Boy?
Rick was always cool. Rick, he would get in the ring. Like there was a time where Sarge was working with his son, and Rick would get in the ring, and he'd be like, hey, come here. And I happen to be the person there. He's like, I'm going to do this and such. He'd go to hit me. I'd do my deal. He'd be like, oh, that's great. You need to be on TV. So that's why I'm here. Right now they got me just doing security around the ring. But, one day I'm going to be in the ring with you. But he was good with us.
What about Scotty Steiner?
Scott Steiner was Scott Steiner. He didn't talk much. And then not just us, but anybody. He would always say hi. He would always shake your hand. He was always a serious person. Once we got to know him and got in the ring with him more, he talked a little bit more, but he never really talked that much. But Scott was always a serious person, and Scott Steiner was Scott Steiner. He was like, I think his attitude was the same way we would train. Wrestling's not ballet, so when you get in the ring, you better be ready because, he's going to bring it.
Oh, yeah. So,
and you could do what you think you're going to do that's going to hurt him. Trust me, he don't feel it.
Tapes? Cool. Switch tapes. What do you remember about AJ Styles back in WCW?
Oh, AJ was good back in WCW. He was tagging with somebody with nobody. Who the hell was it? I can't remember his name. I know he's best friends with David Young, but yeah, AJ was good because we did the tournament with AJ. That's what I remember from him. We did the tournament, him and whoever. They had these flight suits on or something they gave him. But you could tell he could always wrestle. He was good. He was good back then, and he's even better now that they gave him a chance to do his deal.
Definitely. Now, what do you remember about the final Nitro? Where were you at and all?
Let's see. We were...
I think it was Florida, right?
Yep. We were in Florida. We were all in the back. It was bad. And when I say it was bad, it was because everybody knew. We was hoping somebody would buy the company and that we would kind of all still be together. But we knew at the final Nitro that they was picking up. Shane came down and he was talking to us, telling us, that, it would still be a WCW or whatever. And they was picking up most of the guys, not everybody, which most was only a couple and so on and so forth. But we just knew, and it wasn't because everybody was just out of it. It was like a family being broken apart. It's like not seeing your brothers and your cousins. It was just like, we've been together. And I've just started with them. That's the scary part. But, we all got so close. It's just like, you wasn't going to see. Like, I know I wasn't going to see Hugh anymore. I knew I wasn't going to see, Mark and Jack and all those guys and Alan Funk every day. Like, we used to joke and mess around and work out. It's just like the family was being broken apart. Even though they kept a lot of us, it still wasn't the same.
I guess take us through how things ran from the moment you entered the building until you left.
The last show, we found out first we got there. We drove there. We didn't even fly there. It was just like so depressing. It was like we just drive there, and if we feel like coming home after the show, we'll come home. If not, we'll just stay there for a couple of days. That was the attitude. But we got there, and everybody was just like moping around, like, yeah. Oh, we're not sure if they really bought it, but I think they did. And then everybody's like, oh, wait, Shane's here. They definitely bought it. They're in the back. He's with a couple of suits and all this other mess. And then you saw some of WWE equipment there with satellites and stuff. And it was like, yeah, they definitely got it. And then they wanted to do a meeting. And let me tell you, it was like, if you ever been to a wrestler's meeting, the guys are always back there talking junk. It could be Vince McMahon talking to everybody, and you'll hear somebody in the background making a smart comment. It was quiet. It was like you could drop a pin and you could hear it drop. Everybody was just like, oh my God, it's over. It's just really over. And then after that, everybody was doing their matches, and everybody was, clapping and hugging everybody after the matches. We wrestled. Everybody, most of the people wrestled. I think Booker wrestled twice or something like that. But right after the match, you didn't even change your clothes. You just stood in the backgrounds and watched everything standing. You didn't want to sit. You didn't want to nothing. You didn't want to shower. You just wanted to see what was going to happen. So everybody's back there. We're all, God, it's over. Like, I'll never see you again or whatever. I'll see you. Don't worry about it. I'll call you or whatever it is. And then next, Shane got up there. And then you saw Shane and Vince going back and forth. And that's when we knew.
Right.
It's the end of the road.
How soon did I guess you know that you were going to be picked up by WWE?
I found out we did the last show and it was maybe a week, not even a week. It could have been maybe 4 or 5 days. I got a call from Johnny Ace, I believe it was. And Johnny was like, we were interested in picking you up, you and a couple of other guys. Right now we don't have anything, but we're going to send you a contract. Hopefully we should have it up and going in a month or 2 months. And then somebody else called me and said, hey, we're going to do a school down in Cincinnati. We want you to move down there. And I was like, I'm not moving. Nobody knew what was going on. So to me, it didn't make sense to move down there. So I was like, I'll go down there or whatever, but I'm going to leave my family here. They said, okay, as long as you're down there full time.
Did they tell you need to go down there to be retrained?
No, they told us it was a school. They just wanted to work with us with some things. And then right after that, they was going to put us right on TV. Then we got down to the school and we found out that wasn't the case either. And then the word was, it was like they were trying to break us so we could quit or something. But that didn't make sense either. Why pay us to come down there and train? Because if that was the case, they didn't do their homework because what they put us through, we already did at the power plant. So it was nothing. And we was getting paid on top of it because at the power plant, we paid them. We paid them to break our behinds. Now they're paying us to do the same old thing. So why would we quit? It didn't make sense. But
did you feel you needed to go down to HWA at all or no?
I felt I needed to go down there and work on interviews and things like that. As far as the wrestling, I don't think, like they were doing the drills. They would have Steven Regal come in. They would have, who else came in? A bunch of guys. All the guys that came there were same guys with WCW that would come to the school and work with us. Huh. So it wasn't like they was teaching me something new. It was like, we already did this. Imagine they say, hey, come in the ring. We're going to do this. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I'll do it with you. It's like, oh, okay. All right, do it with him, So it wasn't like I learned anything new, but it's always good to get in the ring with those guys. So that's like the highlights. Like, yeah, he's coming down for a week, so good. We got something to look forward to. So-and-so's coming for a week, good. But to me, it would have been better if we got one of their guys to work with us, somebody I never worked with in the ring with before. But only thing I think I really need to work on was interviews. You can never be too good at them. So,
what are your thoughts on Les Thatcher?
Les was okay. I think Les was just doing what he was told. I think he was told to be hard on us. I also think he was told to break us down because they had us.
How did they try to break you down in what aspect?
Okay. For instance, we started WCW at the school. Then we started putting rings together and we was doing trainings and squats and all that other mess. And then we finally made it to TV. And then there were certain things we didn't have to do, but then we worked on other things because we finally made it to TV. And then we made it to WWE. And then we went to their school. And then it was like it was going in reverse. Huh. They had us taking rings apart again. It's like, why are we taking rings apart?
Right.
But if y'all want us to do it, you paying us to take rings apart? Fine, we'll take them apart. You're going to waste that money for us to take a rings apart, we'll do it. Whatever you guys want us to do, as long as we getting paid. So in that aspect, I think we were going backwards. But I guess they wanted to see, who would do what and so on and so forth. Because I heard they had this deal where they try to break people down to get them to do whatever they want. But they don't know we already been broken down. So
I was going to ask you, what was the attitude like amongst the other guys that had WWE contracts that came from WCW but were sent with you? Same deal? Same deal.
They just didn't understand why. But they always like, we getting paid to do it. Let's do it.
Huh.
So,
do you remember the fight between, I guess it was Shane Helms and Buff at Titan Towers? Was it?
No.
Okay, because I know there was altercation. I didn't know exactly where it happened. But...
No, I no idea.
Okay.
Is this the one about the hat?
I think so.
And he took the hat. I heard about it, but I wasn't there to say I saw or heard what exactly happened.
Now, did you suffer an injury, I guess, when you were at HWA?
Yes.
What was that about?
Let me tell you, the school was so much like the power plant. To me, it was really like a joke. And when I say a joke, it's not like I don't respect wrestling, but it's stuff I had already done. So to me, it was a breeze. So I was just going to go there and have fun and get paid for it. That was my attitude. Whatever they want me to do, I was going to do it. So the first or second day we were in the ring and we were doing drills. You do different drills. And this particular drill was working on your legs. So whoever was in the ring, Les said, okay, once one person slide out, another person slide in. And then, you work the other person's leg and then they work your leg. Then one person slide out, somebody else slide in. So I slide in the ring, I'm working somebody's legs, and then they work my legs, and then that other person slide out. I stay in the ring. Romeo, who used to be my partner, get into the ring. He started to do something to my leg. I don't know what the hell he was trying to do, but he went to put like a leg scissor on my leg and pop my knee the wrong way it don't bend. As soon as he did, he tore my meniscal, and I was out. They told me I needed to be out for at least 9 months. I stayed out a whole month. And I got right back into the ring. The doctor's like, your knee is never going to get better. I said, I know, but I just need it for now. And then once it get better, then I'll just do less as possible.
Right.
But he said I should have never got back into the ring, but I did anyway.
Les Luger said in an interview that I guess you weren't the same after your injury. Do you agree?
Well, Les knew the reason why I wasn't the same is because I needed time to heal.
Right.
And they told me at least 9 months, minimum 6 months. And after 1 month, I got back into the ring. There was no way possible they could expect me to do flips and flops and mat wrestle the way I used to. I needed time to heal. And at that time, it wasn't the time to sit on the side and watch everybody wrestle because they were cutting people.
Right.
So I had to make a choice, either get my behind in the ring and try to do it or sit there and let them cut me and send me home. So
right.
I got in the ring.
Were you told at any point that you were about to be called up at all? Or?
Actually, right before I got hurt, I heard that I was going to get called up. Like the next week, I heard I was going to get called up to wrestle, but I got hurt.
Wow.
So then that was cut.
Did you want to? I guess you were finally cut. You were released, right? What happened with that?
I was heartbroken because first of all, I knew I could do it, and they cut me. And it was like they said to me, "You haven't been the same since you got hurt." And my answer was because I haven't healed. I need time to heal. And they said, "Well, we're gonna have to let you go." And I said, "Well, you could let me go, but if you guys let me go, you're gonna regret it." Because if I can't wrestle for you, I'm going to wrestle for somebody else. And I'm going to make money, and the company I work with is going to make money. So, and then as soon as they cut me, I had my 3 months off where I still got paid anyway. And right after all of that, then I went to Japan for 1.5 years. So everything worked out for me.
I guess, did you want to quit wrestling at the time, or you said, nah?
Yeah. When I got home and I thought about it, I mean, you don't understand. My family hate wrestling because that's all I do. Like when you go to school to be a lawyer, you got to read and all this other stuff. You need to know the law. Well, I used to study wrestling. I needed to know wrestling. I used to watch interviews over and over. I used to watch matches from Japan. Any place I can get a match, I would watch it. Whether you thought it was instrumental in making me better, I would watch it just so I know what I should do, shouldn't do, never do this work. I mean, I studied wrestling like, it was my job because it was. So my family hate wrestling. I can't get my family to come to a wrestling show. I can't get them to watch me on TV because I made them watch all that other crap that I have a room in my house with a TV, and all we do is watch. It's my wrestling room. It's my office. Right. And it has a chair and all this other crap, a TV, a VCR, DVD player. It's for wrestling. So,
what are your thoughts on steroids in wrestling?
A lot of people do them. Some people don't. Wrestling is one of those sports where steroids can give you that edge because you're bumping and whatever it is every single night. So if you're not the right size, and when I say size, you don't have to be big, but you need to, you get beat up one night, you need to go the next night. It's not like you get a season off or you get months off. Wrestling is an every week thing, and for some people, it's 5 nights a week. So, depending on what you could and couldn't take is what you would do.
Right. Now, how did you wind up in All Japan?
All Japan, which is weird because when I was in Canada, we went out. Muta went out, Kaz went out, Jimmy Yang, myself, and another person. I can't remember who it was. But I did a match that night, and I can't remember who I wrestled. Oh, I'm sorry. Who did I wrestle that night? It was a really good match. I think I wrestled Allen that night.
Right.
And when I wrestled Allen, Muta was, impressed. Huh. I mean, he was really impressed. He's like, oh, he was talking to me. That was a great match. I saw what you was doing. Hey, if anything ever happened in WCW, would you like to come to Japan?
Right.
First of all, I'm thinking nothing would never, ever happen with WCW. And second, I'm like, yeah, I would love to go to Japan. I've always, heard I would love to go. He said, okay, if anything ever happened, just give me a call. So something happened. Huh. I called him, came down. I didn't even do a match. I came down. He said, do a spot. I did a spot. Let me tell you the spot. who it was supposed to be with Cass. Cass said, Jimmy, no, you get in the ring. We was messing around. He went to throw me in the ropes. I ran up the ropes. I flipped over him. I landed behind him. Jimmy came through a clothesline. I matrixed. He missed me. I came back up. He ran at me again. I kicked him in the gut. I hit him with play of the day. Everybody was clapping. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world. They wanted to know if I had my visa, my work visa and everything. They was going to put me on the show that night.
Wow.
And it was like that. And then Kaz came to me and said, oh, really good. They're going to put you on as soon as possible. They just need to come up with a character. And he's like, if you had your work visa, you'd be working tonight. So
now they want to put a mask on you, right?
Yeah. And actually, they asked me my thoughts on a mask. I'm like, whatever you guys want me to do, that's my attitude in wrestling. I'm going to make it work. You just put me out there. I'll figure it out.
Right.
But they wanted to put a mask on me. And then I thought about it. I'm like, how many black people are there in Japan? How many black people in the company? Just me. So I'm the only black person with a mask. So I thought it was funny, but if that's what they wanted me to do, so be it. But I thought Extreme Blade was cool as hell. I thought it was really good.
What were your thoughts on the tours over there in Japan? And what was it like adapting to the style?
The style is, to me, all the matches I've been in, this is what I picked up from Japan. Japan is not about politics. It's not about whatever it is. It's about two people getting in the ring, having a good match, period. It's not about pressure. It's not about, I want you to do this because this is great or whatever it is. They just want you to go out there and have a good match, have fun, make it make sense. And it's not all about the flipping and flying, but if you can throw it in and it makes sense, they want you to do it. The first night I walked the ropes over there, they went crazy. I mean, it was like, it was in the magazine. It was like crazy. But that's the psychology over there. They just want it to make sense. And most of us feed off the crowd, but sometimes it's hard to feed off that crowd because they're quiet.
Right.
So it's like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. No, actually wrestling. When they stand up and clap or, it's all quiet, then they get loud and it's quiet again, that means you're doing your job. So that's the deal with Japan. And I've never had a problem with mat wrestling. Actually, I love mat wrestling more than I do the high flying.
Did you like the country itself?
Oh yeah, the only worst part about Japan was we didn't have time to have fun. It's like wrestling. Every time we go someplace, like we're here tonight, we wrestle tomorrow, we leave. We never have a chance to stay and really enjoy it. But it seemed really nice, and the people, they love wrestling. I mean, their attitude about wrestling is like...
It's like baseball over
there.
Yeah,
it's like we're gods to them. I mean, they love us. So, I wish we could bring that over here. But, I mean, not saying I don't appreciate our fans, but it's just a whole different level. You just have to, see it to see what I'm talking about.
What are your thoughts on Great Muta?
Muta's good. Muta is Muta. And when I say that, I remember young Muta and I remember Muta now. Muta reminds me of Hulk Hogan. He's going to do whatever he have to do to keep going. And when I say keep going, he always keep his character going. How many times has Muta changed his character and got over? And he do whatever it takes, to do it. And when I say that, it's also with people. Like he'll bring people over there. Once I made it over there and he liked what I was doing, then he told me, okay, now that you're here, you're going to start off with this amount. But it's all about the people liking you. If the people like you, we'll pay you more. But if you're not getting over, we have no need to use you. So it's up to me. He put the ball in my court.
Do you think he's good for business?
Buddha? Yes.
Okay.
I think he's really good for the business. Really.
What about All Japan? I mean, do you think he killed the company or do you think he helped it?
No, I think Muta helped it because to be over there, you have to see it. And half those fans that come there, not even half, but most of those fans come there, they come to see him. And there's match, and Muta's smart. And when I say he's smart, like if they come to see, if there's somebody else there that's high up on the card that they want to see, guess who's they in the match with?
Right, he's working him.
Or they got 3-on-3s, who's in the match? Muta with so-and-so. So he's smart. He set himself up, to do good.
What about Kawada? What are your thoughts on Kawada?
Kawada was okay. I didn't really talk to him that much. But he seemed really good. Really nice guy.
What were your favorite matches in Japan?
My favorite match was probably when I was in a tag team. It was me. It was Jerry, who passed away, and Mike Awesome. Us three against Muta, one of the new boys, they're called Young Boys, and one of the other guys that was really over. And we had, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. And they don't stress out about time like we do over here. If the fans are into it, keep going. They don't worry about nothing. But and you would think, God, I'm in the ring with Muta. We just had so much fun. So much fun.
Now, when you came back to the States, you got hooked up, I guess, with Bill Barrington and Wildside?
Yeah, actually, when I came back, I was going back and forth at the time. And somebody called me. I can't remember who. It wasn't Bill Banks. It was one of them. They called me and said, "Hey, we're doing a show, and you want to come down and check it out or whatever it was." I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll try it." I heard about it too. They were telling me about it. I said, "Yeah, I'll try it." Why would I say no? I'm not doing nothing.
Now, I guess before you got hooked up with TNA, did you ever say, were you ever concerned that you'd have to get another job besides wrestling?
Yeah, I thought I would at one point.
Right.
After I stopped doing the Japan, or no, not stop, but I was doing Japan, and then there's lapse in between, or I'd have a show here and there. I was like, God, I'm going crazy.
Huh.
How many times I'm going to watch the tapes? I'm training. I just felt like I had more time on my hands. I felt like I should be doing something, so I was going to get a job. And then there was one point at TNA when I got hurt. What did I hurt? I hurt one of my knees. I just had to take it easy. And I couldn't. All I did was TNA. I didn't do anything else.
Right.
And then I started doing security at a club. So, and the security's just sitting down.
Easy.
Yeah.
How did you get hooked up with TNA?
Jeremy Borash, that's who called me. Jeremy called me. And I talked with him for a while, and then I talked to Bob, and I did a match, and then they were happy with it. Then they wanted me to come back again. I did another match. And then I came back. I maybe did like 7 or 8 more matches. And then I told them they need to pay me more money. And then they said, right now it's not in the budget. We can't really afford to give you more. I said, well, when you can afford to give me more, give me a call. I would love to work for you guys, but I can't do it for this amount.
Right.
So I was going to leave. And they said, no, well, we got you on tonight. We really need you. We'll pay you more money for tonight, but if we get more money, we'll give you a call. So 3 months went by. They didn't call me. Then that's when I started doing security full time and doing whatever shows I could do. But I just refused to go out there and wrestle for, wrestling is one of those businesses where you don't get time back. You can go out there and kill yourself or break something and be out for a long time. And I think you should get paid for what you do. So, because if I get hurt, what's going to happen then? It's not like I got an insurance policy that's going to pay me until I can go back to work or whatever. So I'm not going to be so short. You can tell me anything you want, but you're going to pay me if I get in the ring. Especially when you get to some promoters and they request things they want you to do. Sometimes, you just can't do it because the ring is bad, the ropes are loose, the boards or whatever.
Right.
I mean, all the rings are not WCW or WWE rings, and it just can't happen. But you just got to do it. Well, if I got to do it, you got to pay me more.
Right. What are your memories of your first TNA match?
Let's see. My first match was with, who was it with?
I don't remember.
God, let me see. Who did I go out there and wrestle? Oh, it was a 6-way, I think. It was me, Low-Key, Christopher Daniels, and a couple other people. And it was like an elimination match. And it was pretty good. It was really good. I wanted to do better than what I did. Only problem was, during the middle of the match, Low-Key was chopping me. And one of the times he hit me in my throat. And it just totally threw me off my game. And he went to throw me in the ropes. And I just fell and I flipped out to the floor just so I can get a breather. And everybody thought I killed myself when I hit the floor. And if you ever get hit in your throat really hard, you can't breathe. It's just like, and my eyes were turning red or whatever. And he asked me, was I okay? And we got back in the ring and then we continued to go. But, that besides that little deal, I just, if that wouldn't have happened, to me, it would have been a better match. But nobody complained about it.
What are your thoughts on working Low-Key?
Low-Key, I only worked him that one time, maybe. And then after that, it was Triple X. So I never really got a chance to work against him beside that one time, which was with a bunch of people. But working as a team member, we had fun. And it got to the point where, we'd be wrestling somebody and they would be arguing, not sure what they're going to do. Low-Key would look at me and be like, you know what you do, right? I'm like, yep. He said, you know what I do, right? Yep. He said, come on, we'll meet him in the ring.
Huh.
And that was it.
All right.
So I had fun with Low-Key.
Now, did you have any meetings with Jeff or Jerry Jarrett when you first came in at all, or was it pretty much the office guys, Bob?
No, I talked with Bob and Jeremy. I talked to mostly Bob. But when I came back, I talked with Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo.
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely a meeting then because they were kind of worried. Because we got this idea, we want to put this group together. And first of all, we want to know if you guys can coexist because, you guys are, let me tell you the guys. Low-Key, which I didn't know him at the time. I've seen the things that he do. I worked with him that one time, but I really didn't know him to say I can and can't work with him.
Right.
It was Christopher Daniels. I met him a couple times in WCW, and I've seen him on a bunch of tapes, but I never really worked with him, so, I couldn't say. And I was like, hey, I can work with anybody. If they're willing to work with me, I'll work with them. all egos aside, we can make it work if we want to do it. And then Jeff's biggest concern was Japan. He's like, all three of you guys go to Japan, and that scared me because it's hard for me to plan TNA when you guys keep traveling back and forth.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, was how difficult doing that Triple X gimmick with Key and Chris, and you go to Japan all the time?
That was the worst part about it. But the fact that it was three of us, that kind of helped. Because there was one point where I was the only one there, and both of them were gone.
Right,
and that's what Jeff didn't want to happen. But he didn't punish me because I could have went on a tour, and I said, no, I would stay to help. And I called Jeff. I said, Jeff, this is what I'm doing. So, instead of him saying, all right, you stay home since the other two are not there, he still kept using me. He put me on dark matches, and he let me know. He said, hey, I appreciate you not going, but, we need to figure out something we can do because it got to be at least two of you guys here. But if we can have all three, that's great. But I think money was an issue back then.
Did Brandon and Chris get any heat from Jarrett for going over there?
No, he just kind of talked with us. I don't think they were upset. They didn't say to us that they were upset, but I think they were. It was kind of one of those deals. But they kind of respected us and what we were doing in the ring because the fans were supposed to hate us, and half of them hate us, half of them loved us.
Right.
I mean, we were supposed to be heels, and there were nights we couldn't get them to boo us because they appreciate what we did in the ring because they was like, oh, my God, it looked like you was going to kill him. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Now, a lot of people think that Jeff Jarrett, they needed to strip him of the belt to get the company over to grow. What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of see what Jeff is doing, and Jeff haven't said anything to me, but this is the way I look at it. And I know, I haven't been in wrestling a billion years, but Jeff has a name which some of the guys at TNA don't have, and you need a name to put asses in the seats, and that's what Jeff is doing. Whether we like it or not, not all of us can jump into his shoes. How many people are gonna? Can I get at least 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people to fill up arena say I'm coming to see Elix Skipper? Well, then if that's the case, then I don't need to be the heavyweight champ. So that's how I look at it. It's a business.
Right.
So if I'm not up to that point, I don't think I should be given that opportunity.
Now, you were with the company when Jerry was booking, Jerry Jarrett, and now Dusty's in his booker. How would you compare them?
Totally different because Dusty is more like old school, but he's old school but new school because he realized we can't do things the way we used to do in the past, but we need to blend that with all the new things that we do.
Right.
To me, Jerry, and he never said it to me, but Jerry give me the impression that he don't like cruiserweights. He don't like the flipping and flying and so on and so forth, but people want to see it. And I think in his eyes, half the things we do don't make sense. But Dusty realized a lot of people watching wrestling just to see what we're doing. Point in case, there came a point in time where in TNA, it was always the heavyweight, whoever had that belt went last. But then it got to a point where it was all X Division going last. X Division was the whole show. And it did not to take any credibility from anybody else. They realized that people were watching this because they want to see high flying. They want to see the X Division do what they do.
Right.
So that's the kind of difference between those two. Jerry was more just old school. And he accepted the new, but not really. It's like, go out there, do what you do.
Huh.
Right. What are you talking about?
Right.
It's like, like he respect us, but don't respect us. Like anybody can do what we do. And let me tell you, anybody can't do what we can do. Especially do it and make sense. Anybody can do what we do, but can it make sense? And I think that's what Dusty see when it comes to us. And he always tell us, he's putting a lot on us. Especially now with the new TNA in Orlando, he's telling us, hey, he trusts us. Like at the last match we had, it's like, surprise me. How many people going to tell you at a pay-per-view, surprise me?
Right.
And he just trusts us. He know we're not going to go out there and not do nothing. We're going to give him 100%. He know it.
What about Dutch Mantel? Because he's pretty much old school.
Yeah, Dutch is... Dutch realize. I think Dutch is just like Jerry. He like what we do, but anybody can do it. And it's not the case.
Now, the rumors with the financial stability of the company, what does that worry you at all? Or?
I hear a bunch of things. I hear that we're starting to do really bad. We switched from doing shows from every week to every other week, but they sat us down and explained to us sometimes you got to make cuts. You got to move backwards to move forward. They're picking up other people, paying more money, so they got to save money where they can. I know we have the building rented out to the end of the year. I know that we have pay-per-views planned to the end of the year, so
right.
We're good for this year.
What are your thoughts? Go ahead.
I haven't heard anything about next year, but I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, because what I did hear on a positive note about the financial deal, the pay-per-views, they're making more money than what they thought. And also on the resales, they're making a lot more. Like everybody's talking about, oh my God, did you see what happened? You didn't see it? Oh, you got to get it. So we're selling more on the replays than we actually are on the pay-per-view. So I heard the pay-per-views are doing much better than what
And they just started
expected.
merchandising too.
Yep, and merchandise is about to kick out.
DVDs and figures and stuff.
Yep, finally.
What are your thoughts on our Raven?
Raven is weird, but Raven, let's see, how can I explain it where everybody can understand? If you don't know Raven, he's weird. He's always talking. Sometimes you wonder if he's even listening to you because he's always going to tell you what he thinks, whether you want to hear it or not. And he'll tell you, I don't care if you don't want to hear it, but this is what I think. And
Right.
he's always going to tell you what he thinks. Always. But he's smart. And when I say smart, he's smart as in he know the business. Like, he was talking to me one day. He's like, I realized they don't have nothing for me coming up. So you know what I did? What'd you do? Well, I was on a plane and I set up 6 weeks of things I could do. Really? You just sat there and just, yeah, he said it took me about maybe 45 minutes. I figured out 6 weeks of work I can do. Really? I said, and you think they're going to use that shit? He said, not only are they going to use it, but I heard it's going to, he said, not only are they going to use it, but I made it up with you. And I laughed. I said, now I know they're not going to use it because I'm not working with you. I said, no, if they want me to work with you, I'll do it. But Raven's really smart when it comes to wrestling.
Did they end up using it?
He just wrote it. So
Okay.
it's going to take time to see what they're going to do. But it's funny because I seen a skit that Raven and Jeff Hardy.
Right.
And the skit was one of the deals that he said to me on the play. So they might, instead of using me, they might have did it with Jeff. But Raven's good. So they respect him too.
What about Sabu?
Sabu is, I met Sabu from WCW was when I first met him. And then we did a show in LA and I talked to him. He's a really cool guy. He's serious about wrestling. If you ever sat and talked with him, he take wrestling serious. And anybody that's in wrestling and you sit down and talk with him, you realize, he has that mentality for the business.
Right.
Love him.
Monty Brown.
Monty Brown's a cool guy. Monty Brown put a lot into it. When I say a lot into it, he was in TNA at one point, and then they stopped using him for a while. And all of a sudden, now he's like one of the top guys in TNA, which is nice because that proves that, anybody could be a top guy, not just top guys coming from another company. But he take TNA seriously. You'll see him going over vignettes or, one time he showed me a notebook of a bunch of things that he wrote out. They wasn't even using them for, do vignettes. And he already wrote out a bunch of things he could do. So he take wrestling just as serious as, the rest of us.
How's Jerry Lynn been with you guys?
Jerry Lynn is good. And I tell Jerry Lynn this so much. He's one of the people that I'll go to and say, I'm thinking about this, that. What do you think? And it's not a lot of people you go to because they're like, yeah, that sounds good. And that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, well, this makes sense, but no, maybe you need to move this or that. Or he'll say, yeah, it's good, and tell me why he think it's good. So Jerry Lynn, to me, is like, one of the best. He's really up there and the person I respect and respect his opinion on wrestling.
How about Shane Douglas?
Shane's the same way. Serious about wrestling. I met Shane back in WCW. He on the Saturday tapings, he used to work with us. We'd go out there and wrestle, and he would explain to us what he thought and why we should do whatever it is he wanted us to do. And then he used to talk to us about talking. He said, if you're out there, it's okay to talk with the fans, even though a mic is not in your hand. So that all those things I learned from him early in my career is the same things I see from him now in TNA.
What about America's Most Wanted?
Oh, love those guys. Let me tell you, we have some serious matches with them.
You had a great match with Cage.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, both cage matches, because everybody thought, we were trying to top the first one, and we wasn't. We were just trying to have a good match.
Right.
But we ended up, they said we topped that one. But they're okay. A lot of people don't like them because they feel that they're like office boys or whatever it is or something like that. But they work just as hard as anybody else. They argue with each other a lot, which you would think they don't.
Right.
But they do. But when it comes to getting in the ring and doing whatever it is got to be done, they put in just like everybody else do.
Do you think they made the right decision by staying with TNA and not going to WWE?
I don't know. But the only reason I say I don't know is because I don't know what WWE offered them or whatever it was. So it's really hard to comment on that.
What are your thoughts on Abyss?
Abyss is good. Let me tell you how I really respect him And there was one point where they said he was released or whatever it was. And I was just talking about this with a guy named Scully. But there was one point where they said he was released. Actually, me, David, and Abyss, we were supposed to do a match, a three-way. But then they said he got fired because he was supposed to get more money and something happened. They didn't re-sign his contract, so they was going to release him.
Right.
So long story short, I got pissed. So we went out there, did the match, and then I came. I was yelling with everybody. I called up Dixie. I said, Dixie, you told me if I ever had a problem, I can call you. Well, I'm calling you. Why would we let somebody like Chris go? He's a big guy. He can go. Half the big guys we got can't go. All he can do is talk on the mic. I said, Chris is one of those people that deliver in the ring, and that's what we need. He can work with cruiserweights, work with big guys. He can do crazy matches, take crazy bumps.
Right.
Why the hell would we develop him, make him as good as he is, and then give him to another company? And then Dixie was like, oh, I understand your concerns. I'm glad you called me, but we're going to do something. I'll take care of it. I'll look into it. I'll fix it. And then I found out that they did fix it, but they didn't tell us. And then they brought him back. And then I was mad at everybody.
I was going to ask you if they were mad that they worked the boys.
Yeah, then I was mad. Then I was mad because they worked us. But at first it wasn't a work. But then once they brought him back, they didn't say anything. So then it was a work. But then I got pissed off with that because, first of all, I take wrestling serious. I take TNA serious. I believe we all have to do our part if we're going to compete with WWE. So I didn't think it made any point for them to rib us. Because how much money are they going to make off ribbing us?
Right.
That was my attitude about it. But they said they did it for a reason because they had leaks in the office. They didn't know who to trust. So it wasn't really about us. It was more about them, but they got to fix in-house first. So that was their answer to me.
You think AJ and Chris will stay when their deals are up?
Which Chris?
Daniels.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't know. But if TNA is smart, they'll do what it takes to keep them.
What is your current contract status?
Mine's up.
Is it okay? Mine's
up, and it was up in January. I didn't realize it until I went home one day, and my wife was like, you signed your contract back in January, right? This is March.
What? Do they know that?
Yeah. Wow. As soon as I found out, got on the computer. No, I didn't. As soon as I found out, I said, when I go to the next show, I'll talk to Jeff.
Right.
And I pulled Jeff aside, and I talked to him. I said, Jeff, my contract's up. And what did I say? Jeff, my contract's up. I can't believe my contract's up. Nobody said anything or whatever it is. And then he's like, oh, it must be. No. He said to me, no, your contract's not up. You got another year. I said, no, I only signed for a year. He said, are you positively sure? I said, I remember when I signed for my contract. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember they wanted me to do it for 2 years, and I wouldn't. I only did it for one.
Right.
So he said he'll look into it. And then a couple of days later, he emailed me and said, we'll take care of it. What will we have to do to keep you? And then I typed him in whatever. And then he said, we'll look into it right away, and I'll do whatever we can. He actually said, I'll do whatever I can. I'll even fight for you. And I typed back to him, you should fight for me because I will definitely fight for the company. And then he said he'll get back to me on the next show.
And it's nothing yet?
Yeah, the show is still like 2 weeks from now.
Any talks yet with WWE?
No, not really, because I'm looking to go back to Japan.
Okay.
If I don't do it with TNA, I want to go back to Japan because I can't afford to go to WWE and they don't do anything with me. I want to go somewhere where I can start doing something. I don't want to go to a school.
Right.
I don't want to go and be under so much pressure that I can't have fun doing what I'm doing because wrestling should be fun. And when it's fun, that's when you see good matches in the ring.
You actually just recently teamed up with, I think it was Brian Christopher against Scott and Sean Waltman, right? Or not Brian Christopher. It was a tag match. It was you and somebody against Scott Hall and Sean Waltman.
Okay.
Well,
that was back in Nashville, right?
Yeah, I think so. What was that like working with those guys and putting the match together?
It was fun. First of all, their attitude is, they've been doing it so long, they just want to have fun. And all right, that's my deal. Because when I have fun, it shows in the ring. But Sean do kicks, and at that point, I started doing kicks. Sean was like, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm not going to do any kicks because that's your deal. He said, no, if that's what you do, do it. You do your kicks, I do my kicks. He said, it's a little good. We'll just, put it together. We'll work with each other.
Right.
And he was cool as hell. I mean, both of them, their attitude was, let's go out there and have fun. And we ended up having a good match.
What are your thoughts on Red and the Maximus?
Red and which ones?
SATs.
Okay. They're all good. Red is better than those guys. When I say better, like I watch tapes all the time. Of course I watch TNA because I work on it, but I watch other wrestlers too. And when you watch all of them together, Red is more crisp than the rest of those guys is. And they do good things too, but like little detailed things that they miss. I mean, but they're really cool in and out the ring and so on and so forth. But if they was to ask me which one is the best out of all of them, I would say Red. But when you put them together, like they had a show here at Cyberspace, last time they had a show, they did really good.
Right.
But when you detail pick things like TNA do, and I think that's probably why they're not with TNA right now.
What about Kid Cash? What are your thoughts on Kid Cash?
Kid Cash is a true heel. He is a true heel. He's a heel in and out the ring. He really respects wrestling. He don't respect people that don't respect wrestling. Some of the things we think he say, so you'll either like him or hate him.
You get along with him outside the ring?
Actually, outside the ring, well, inside the ring, we've done a couple of things together, no problems. Outside the ring, we talk, like best of friends. I don't think he say anything behind my back, and I have nothing negative to say about him. I've heard a lot of things about him, but I don't have any problems with him or I like the way he is. Some things he say I think is kind of over the top, but that's
as far as
Cash.
like what? What's he?
I like one deal he said something about AJ in a magazine about how AJ got his push and he don't think he should have got it. And my deal was if he would have got the push or I would have got the push AJ got, you'd be a fool to say no. So, but that's my own point of view. Cash may look at it different and feel whatever it is. And then after he said that, and him and AJ talked about it and everything is settled. So,
when Vince Russo was on top in TNA, do you think he put himself on TV too much?
I guess you could say. I don't know if he put himself on TV because I asked him about that too, and he said it's not that he want to be on TV; they want him on TV.
Right.
So Vince never has. If you really talk to Vince, Vince don't want to be on TV. Vince want us to be on TV. He want us to do promos. He just want to do the behind the scene work. But it got to a point where they wanted him on TV, and then it turned into a little bit till every single show he was on TV, and he did not want to be on TV.
Do you feel that TNA can compete with Vince?
Which Vince? Oh, Vince,
Yeah,
WWE
yeah.
Vince? We will. Only thing with us and them right now, our biggest problem is they can do a lot of things that we can't do. Like we're at Disney right now, so we can't do the girls doing certain things or cursing. There's very minimum cursing on TNA. There's a lot of things that they can get away with because they've been around a lot longer than us. They donate money to certain things and all this other stuff.
Right.
So a lot of things that they can get away with, we can't. So we have to be careful with what we do.
The cage match we talked about earlier on, you actually did the Hunacrana right off the cage.
Right.
How difficult was that for you?
You know what's funny? I always knew I could do it. I never practiced it or anything. I just always knew I could do it. So it wasn't hard because when I got up there to do it, I just did it. And it was either I was going to fall or I was going to make it. And everybody asked me, like, how did you plan for it? Did you practice walking the cage? No. I said, hey, I think I could do it. Let's do it. And let me tell you, that spot was scratched the whole day. Everybody kept saying, no, 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 no. And Chris Harris, maybe an hour before we went out, he said, do you think you can do it? I said, Chris, I know I can do it. If you give me the chance, I'll do it. 18 months prior to this cage match, when we had the first one, I wanted to walk the cage. They wouldn't let me do it. TNA wouldn't let me do it. And then we was going to do it anyway, but then nobody would take it. Everybody's like, no, you're going to kill yourself or whatever. Right. So nobody would take it. And then my deal to them was, if they're going to break us up, at least let us do something so they can remember us. And then I think that's how I got Christopher Harris to agree to do it. And he was so happy. I was so happy when we actually did it and pulled it off.
What are your thoughts on working Sandman?
Sandman. I worked with him once.
Right.
Actually, I think I worked with him twice. He's okay. He's just got a different style. I mean, like my character is, I'm sarcastic. I think I'm better than anybody in the world. And if you don't believe me when we get in the ring, I'll back it up and I can do it all. His character is, he drink, he have fun. And when he get in the ring, he do his deal. So if you just keep that in mind with the things he do and the things I do.
Perfect. What happened with Gerald Clark in the match you got stiffed?
Which one?
The match you got stiffed, I think it was Gerald Clark.
Oh, yeah. He's the one that do the 6:30 or something like that. He's telling me the whole day. First of all, I don't like to say no to people. Even Jarrell said, I got this move I want to do. And if I think TNA see it, it might give me a chance. I'm like, all right, well, they need to see this move and it's going to get you a job and let's do it. He said, let me tell you, I've been doing it for so long. He said, there's no way you're not going to get hurt or whatever. I said, all right, well, what is it? He said, well, I do a flip in the air. I flip through twice, and then I hit you, but I barely hit you. Well, let me tell you, he did the flip, and I don't know what went wrong, but he hit me, and when he hit me with every ounce of weight he had. And the fact that he flipped, it was just more momentum. He knocked all the air out of me. And as I'm on the mat, I was just saying to myself, holy shit. But when things like that happen to me, I have to get mad, because when I get mad, the pain go away. And then I just want to fight. So it's not that I had anything against him. I just had to suck it up and keep going. But it's a really good move. But let me tell you, if he put it on you or whatever, it's going to hurt. But he stiffed the shit out of me with that one.
What about
we laugh about it now. So
everything was cool.
Yeah, we laugh about it.
What are your memories of working with Sanjay a couple of pay-per-views ago?
Sanjay, I worked with him a couple of times before, because we were actually we were Team TNA at one point. It was fun to work him. And he's one of those people where he's a lot smaller than I am. So it's either you can work or you can't work. So you got to do something that makes sense. So we did the best with what we had and what they wanted us to do. And it was like a last minute match that they actually just put out there. But we had fun. We both had fun with that match.
What about Petey Williams? What are your thoughts on Petey?
Petey's a good wrestler. And it's funny because I just knew, like, me and Petey was going to have this chart buster. And it wasn't that. It was just a good match. I thought it was going to be like the best match of the night, but it's funny because they gave us a certain amount of time, and before we even walked out, they took time away from us as we're walking out to the ring. And I'm like, how the hell are you the first match and they take time away from you? So I just thought the match was going to be a whole lot better, and it just wasn't. So maybe we just need to put more into it or think about it more.
Do you find it hard to stay focused in TNA? Because it seems like the booking is very inconsistent, and that if a guy will have like a main event match or a big feud, like next week he might be working a dark match, for like example, like Kid Cash.
Yeah.
At the last pay-per-view.
No, because that was, to me, that was WCW. You know, 1 minute you was doing whatever, and then the next minute you was doing whatever. So to me it was, what have you done for me lately? So I don't care. You could put me on the show before the show. I'm going to go out there and do what I do. And only way, if I'm not being me 100%, because there's been times in WCW I was told, hey, you need to take it easy. Don't outshine so-and-so. Remember, he's the babyface. I've been told that a bunch of times. It's like, remember what you do. Don't outshine the babyface. You're the heel. And I'm like, how the hell do I take that? It's like, all right. And then I go back to school and I talk to Paul Orndorff, which was the wrong person to talk to, because he was like, oh, what the hell are they talking about? They're telling you not to be yourself. But what they were trying to tell me was, heels can't outshine the babyface. Heels got to be heels and let the babyface shine. And if I outshine him, then, you kill a story of what they're trying to get over. And that's what I was being told. But at that point in time, I didn't really, it's like, hey, they're telling me not to give it 100%. What are they telling me here? But that was with my learning curve. So,
were you there in the night Teddy and CM Punk got into a fist fight?
Yep, I was there. It was at the White Trash Cafe.
Yeah.
It was right outside.
Did you actually see it happen?
Actually, I didn't hear what happened. I just know they went outside and all of a sudden they started going at it. But I heard the way it started was Teddy walked up to CM Punk, said something. He said, let's take it outside. And then they got rid of CM Punk, which I thought was unfair. And I even voiced that to the office. And they used Teddy a couple more times, and then they stopped using him. And they haven't used CM Punk to this day. To me, I didn't think that was fair. So I said my piece, and that was it.
What are your thoughts on Teddy?
I never really worked with him. I heard a lot of stupid things that he do. The fact that we've never had a match and he's done it in a match with me. I mean, if we was to have a match and I was to go over on him and then he was to get up and start jumping and flipping and flying through the ring, I'd come in the ring and kick his ass.
Right.
I mean, because you wasn't taught that way. That's like me having a match with Steiner, and Steiner just put his finish on me and I get up and walk out the ring like everything's okay.
Right.
You think Steiner's going to let that fly? Hell no. And Teddy should know, especially if he got family in wrestling, he should know better than that.
Do you think it was unfair, I guess, when Hall, Nash, and Savage and Page came in with the big pushes and big contracts at the expense of the core talent?
I'm sorry.
Well, I guess when Hall, Nash, and Savage came in and Page...
When you say come in, which at TNA?
TNA, yeah. TNA, when they got...
Oh, when they came in the ring and said some of the things that they said?
Well, not only that, how they just got like an immediate push and they probably got big contracts and, some of the other talent there since the start.
Right. Well, no, because see...
Going back to putting people in the seats.
Right. That's what that was... To me, that's what that was all about. And that was
helping
about respect. Yeah. And, we got it to that point. Now we got to get it to the next level. And if they want to see Kevin and whoever, if they want to see Hulk Hogan and we can get him, let's get him. Right. Whatever it takes for TNA to get on top. But in retrospect to that, TNA got to remember how they got there. And remember the people that helped them get there, and don't all of a sudden stop using them and using other people, or make it work where it's fair for everybody.
I guess right now TNA, supposedly it might be negotiating with The Rock. What are your thoughts on that?
Whatever it takes.
All right.
If he's going to help us get to the next level, then let's use him. If he's ready to wrestle, which the last time I seen him on TV, he looked like he could wrestle, then we need him. Just like we just got Billy Gunn, and I seen him in the ring and flying around and bumping, and I was just like, holy shit. And when I seen him in the back, I came up to him. I was like, we need you. I said, we need somebody like you, a big guy that can actually go. And he just laughed at me. I said, no, I'm serious. He's like, thank you. And I know he's been doing this for years, and I know he know how to wrestle. But sometimes we get some big guys that, they can talk on the mic, but they don't back it up in the ring. Well, he can back it up in the ring.
Right.
And that's what TNA need.
What are your thoughts on Frankie Kazarian leaving?
I was hoping we wouldn't lose him, to be honest with you. I was hoping that they could work something out because of put in the right spot. I think he can be a big asset to the company. And he was kind of one of the deals where they just let his contract go and, either didn't know, honest to God, didn't know about it, or was hoping nobody would say nothing, but you can't do that.
What about your upcoming series with Christopher Daniels? What are you looking forward to that?
It's going to be on. I love working with Chris side by side, and it's going to be even better face to face.
The six-sided ring was introduced to TNA last year, I think. It was a year ago, maybe? A little longer. What are your thoughts on the six-sided ring? Was it hard to adjust to?
No. Actually, when I heard about it, it was like, God, I just want to get in the ring and play and see what I can and can't do. I'm glad we have it. I know they've been using it in Mexico, but we brought it over here first. Most people over here know the ring from TNA, so I'm glad we have it. And we have so much fun in that ring. I wouldn't change it. There's a lot of people getting in the ring and God, I don't know which rope to hit. Huh. Well, if you hit one rope, the rope that's directly across from you, that's the next one you hit. You have nothing to worry about. We can make up things and do stuff in that ring that other people can't do. Why? Because they don't have the ring we have.
As a worker, who are some of the guys that you actually like to watch working in the ring?
Actually, when I first got into the business, Steven Regal, I used to love to watch him and his style.
Right.
Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, those guys, I love watching. I used to love Booker T, all the kicks and stuff he used to do remind me of myself watching him in the ring. Hulk Hogan's charisma, I used to love watching that. Tony Atlas' body, God, phenomenal body. What other things I used to love? People that used to catch my eye. Let's see what other wrestling style.
Don't say Jim Hellwig.
No, it wasn't him. Sting was incredible in the ring. Watching him, I remember when he first started, and all the stuff that he got through. We small Sting, then big Sting, then black Sting, no talking Sting. It's just making whatever you have work. Not just watching the wrestling, but it's just making yourself evolve. Like people get tired of prime time, then what you gonna do? What's your backup plan? So I learned a lot from that point too, of watching other people in the ring.
Would you ever want to compete in MMA, mixed martial arts?
I have never heard of it.
It's not a promotion, just like the shooting stuff. Would you?
Actually, I used to do before I got into wrestling. I used to do martial arts right in Long Island, right in Brooklyn.
Oh.
But the problem was, at the time I was working for McDonald's and fighting for real, and I was getting paid more at McDonald's than I was fighting in the ring. But I was a supervisor. But the point was, if I'm fighting, get my behind kicked. There's days I went to work with black eyes, limping, arm wrapped up. But that was martial arts, and I just felt I should have been making more. And then I found out, you have to do it for a certain amount of time. And to me, if you were good and you haven't lost a match, you should be the one bringing home the money. But it didn't work that way, so I stopped doing it.
Who are some of the favorite matches that you've had so far? Like who have you worked with that stand out?
Billy Kidman, probably him. Alan Funk were my probably best matches. Tag matches was me and Romeo against Ray and Kidman. I'm dying. I'm like you would not believe. I want to wrestle AJ so bad. I want to wrestle AJ now, not the one I wrestled before,
right? Which
was good, but he's grown so much. So I would love to tie up with him in the ring. His psychology has come, so much better. But those are probably some of the best matches I had.
What about least favorite guys to work with?
I make it work with everybody. Let's see, who have I had a bad match with? I don't know. I have no least favorites.
Right.
There's nobody that really turned me off. Hey, baby.
What about any good ribs or road stories?
Let's see, ribs to me. No, I've never got my drawers glued to the ceiling or anything. No. I was always quiet. I respecting. I totally believed in it. The guys like me. They would say certain things, but that was about it. Nothing, to hurt my feelings or anything.
What did you actually think about the last Ultimate X match?
The one that I was in?
Yeah, you were in.
The one with AJ and that one, that four-way one?
Right.
I wanted more time. I don't know how much time we had, but it wasn't enough. And I wanted to do more. And I felt like I didn't do enough. Like I wanted to do more in the match. But just the way it was designed, everybody got a certain amount of time. And it wasn't really about, it was about the belt at the end and Chris and his angle and so on and so forth. So I just wanted more time. There's a lot of times I watch matches. It could be really good. But then I look at it again and say, what did I contribute to the match? Or, did I make people want to watch it? Did I make people want to order the pay-per-view? Was it worth saying, hey, I'm coming back or so on and so forth? So I look at it a little different from other people. Most people do.
Do you think that it hurts the X division that it's never on last anymore?
No, I don't think it hurt. But you never know what can happen. They can start being on last again. But Dusty's biggest deal is whoever has the heavyweight belt, and this is what he believes, whoever have it, they should be the main event, period.
It's true, though.
But,
to a degree.
Yeah, if that's what he's saying, he's booking the show, then that's what should happen. But sometimes the people say, we love that and all this. But if you have the match that's before that or whatever, that's,
right.
I'm not going to say better, but if the main event can't follow the match that's before it, then I'm sure they'll do what the right thing is. But I'm sure Dusty won't set himself up to fail. He'll make it where, the main event is what it should be.
Right. Do you have any regrets looking back so far?
My only regret is I wish I didn't start sooner. And if I think, when WCW went out of business, if I could have started 5 years earlier, just 5 years earlier. That's it.
What are your career goals for the next year and maybe the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
The next year, I would like to sign with TNA. TNA is like my project. And the reason why I say that is because we started from day one. We didn't start with WCW. I ended with WCW. We didn't start building, WWE. But TNA, we started from ground up. So when TNA make it, I don't care if it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, whoever's there doing whatever it is they're doing, or even if I'm a part of it or not a part of it, it can always be said that, so-and-so helped build this company. Otherwise, if it wasn't for those people, these people wouldn't have a job. So I would love to, stay with TNA. 5 years from now, if TNA is not around, I know I'm going to be in Japan wrestling because I love wrestling over there. And the money is really good.
Right. Is there anything you might want to say to your fans that might be watching this tape that you never had a chance to say?
Just tell all my fans, the best is yet to come. You haven't seen anything. I've done some crazy things at TNA. I've done some crazy things at WCW. But lo and behold, this is still my house. Ain't a damn thing changed.
Well, thanks for being here today. It was a great interview.
No problem, guys.
Good luck in the future.
Oh, you got it.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.